Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's being brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done and published to educate consumers, grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. This is a series of spotlights on remarkable business intermediaries from across the country. And joining me on this segment is Sheryl Vazquez, the founder of CSG Capital. Sheryl, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. How are you?
Sheryl, tell us a little bit about your work and tell us specifically who are the types of clients that you specialize in helping.
Yeah, so I am the founder and CEO of CSG Capital. It's powered by EXP Commercial. So I'm a commercial broker, and in that we have a membership with IBBA. So I became a member of IBBA. I specialize in restaurants primarily, some retail space, mostly restaurants because that's my background. So I know what's needed for upfitting, what we're looking for when we're selling it, the inventory, and that sort of thing.
Excellent. So these business owners that have restaurants across the country, they've been running it growth, day in, day out. But when it comes to
Hopefully.
selling, do you find that they know where to start?
Yeah, a lot of them don't. And a lot of it is ongoing inventory, keeping track of it, accounts payable, accounts receivable, and you have to take all of that into consideration. And you might want to do that outside of the deal in something like a bill of sale, have an inventory specialist come in maybe the day before or the day of closing to handle things like liquor, inventory of that, because those things are constantly moving.
Let's talk about the restaurants in that industry specifically, because of course we're coming out of the pandemic right
Yeah.
now, and I understand that that particular segment has had its challenges. So tell us, like, what's the state of selling a restaurant today in today's market? What's that like?
Yeah, so I think a lot of restaurant owners are considering it, mostly because the restaurant, like office spaces, are morphing into things like ghost kitchens, food trucks, commissaries. So those are the things that restaurants are looking at. What is easily accessible to the client, the customer, and so, some food trucks want to get into a brick and mortar. Other people want to leave that space, and so the struggle lately has been finding workers to stay, what they're paying them, how they're paying them. So the tips are not always nightly now. It's coming out, in a paycheck, maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks, which isn't alluring to the employee anymore. So this is a struggle for restaurants in general. And I think since the pandemic, we've been seeing restaurants going towards, a community type kitchen.
It's really fascinating because as a consumer myself, and with the country opening back up, it's like I'm eager to get out there, yet I know they're having their challenges with staff. What's been your perspective on that? I'm really curious. Like, is all these workers, does everybody work for Amazon now, or where are
I
we
know.
losing the staff to?
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people are still struggling to find their own. Coming out of the pandemic, a lot of people want to become entrepreneurs, and that's what's happening. However, there are still people who are looking for that day-to-day job, and they jump in and out of restaurants, and you can go from one restaurant to another and still, not be satisfied with how the company's operating, what's going on there. So it's a struggle for the employees. And I think the business owners really have to kind of regroup and figure out how to keep employees, how to find them, what's driving them, how to stay open in this.
I could see that too, because I'm telling you, as the country opens back up, I just see if they can get past this little hurdle here. I just see like really green pastures on the other side for
Yeah.
the restaurants that stick around. And speaking of that, I noticed that there are a lot of new restaurants opening up now, and other
Yeah.
brands like popping in the market. Is that the opportunity people are seeing? Is that there's this like Darwinian cleansing of the market, and it opens up opportunity for new brands?
I
What
think
are you thinking about
so.
that?
I think so. And I think they're innovating different ways to stay open. What's going to bring people to you? So you really have to have like a strong to go center. And then maybe have like a key niche of what you offer. I've seen so many fry bars opening up. So you have French fries with all this stuff piled on top of it, and people just love that. Is it good for you? Probably not. But that's what people, if you have that niche, that's what people are looking for. So if you can do something as a business owner, have a strong to-go presence, um, a lot of things that you offer, like maybe to go adult beverages that only you can create, that folks can't create at home. And if it's legal in your state, of course, then you can do those to go beverages, muddled beverages that people don't really do at home. So if you think outside the box like that, it might be a new way to create that business.
So let's talk about these restaurant owners that are considering selling today or thinking about it on the fence. What's the opportunity for them? Where do you think it's a good time? It's still a good time to sell a restaurant today, and what should these owners be considering?
Yeah, I do think it's a good time to sell, and mostly because there are so many entrepreneurs out there who want to start their own businesses, and it's a great time for that, especially if you're doing the real estate and the business. Then that's an easy walk into for somebody who wants to have a business and just start it. So I think if they're considering selling, they definitely need to get their paperwork together. So it's easy for someone like me to come in and look at the financials and evaluate what it would go for. I look at the market, the city, the location, everywhere that it is, and see, and I have buyers that are looking for those things. So I have to, match the buyers with my sellers. But I think it's a great time.
Yeah, let's talk about that because I know a lot of restaurant owners aren't even aware of the services that you provide and the value that you can bring to them to take that weight off their shoulders and even make them more money. Can you kind of shed a light on what kind of value you bring and how you can help them get their business for sale and get the most for it?
For sure. So I look at things like um, what the assets of the company are, what accounts payable you have coming in, what you have that you will include in the sale. So I have to look at all of those, and then I have buyers that are looking for restaurants, and I know what they're looking for. So I'm matching the two. And a lot of business owners, especially restaurant business owners, will not have all of these things detailed. And sometimes it gets a little messy, but that's where I step in and kind of evaluate where assets and liabilities go, what's a capital, what area to put that in, and then reevaluate the business and give them a true what it's worth.
Now, obviously, the last couple of years in revenue has been tough for restaurants. So, what's the secret or the trick in expressing those numbers to a potential buyer so that they understand that? Or have you found that buyers do understand the market during a pandemic? What have you
Yeah,
seen?
I think most of them do understand. We've all been through it. So, coming out of it, everybody is pretty much aware of what's going on with the numbers, especially in 2021. Coming out of that, especially for restaurants and hospitality, it was rough to find the numbers and come up with something. I found that a lot of restaurants lately, because people have wanted to get out, and restaurants have been offering, coupons or special nights out or something like that to drive people to come in, that business has gone up. It's that cabin fever. People just want to get out, and especially when it's your local spot. A lot of regulars will come back, and so business has been good for them, just not as good as it was before the pandemic.
So, can you show them then the trending current upswing and then the pre pandemic numbers? Can you show them that?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Hey, Cheryl, you mentioned before your background was restaurants. Because
Yeah.
I'm curious what inspired you to become a business intermediary and help other restaurant owners? Like, tell us how you got started in this field.
Yeah, so I was a bartender for 30 years. I started bartending in Boston. I moved down here to North Carolina. I continued bartending. And I was primarily bartending in, the business areas. So most of my clients were IBM, Cree, a lot of those workers. So I, decided to get into real estate. And when I got into real estate, I wanted to get into commercial right away. I'm about the business deal. And so when I got into commercial, and when EXP offered business brokerage, I was like, oh, that sounds perfect. So I'm doing both, selling the real estate and the business. And so it just seemed like a no-brainer that I would, go into restaurants, because I do have that as my background. I have done that for 30 years. I know what it's like.
That's terrific. Sheryl, before I ask you my last question, is there anything I didn't think to ask that you feel is important to share with restaurant owners who are considering selling in today's economy?
So not a lot of people know this, but I am a feng shui consultant as well. So I walk into a space and I feel the energy of the space and how it flows. And so in that, I can let the restaurant owner know we need to do some minor adjustments to make this space lighter or feel more airy. So not only customers want to come in and sit there and experience a great meal there, but people want to come in and buy it because people do want to stay there and have dinner there and be there. And so you don't want to be there if you have a heavy feeling over the place, or it's not busy, or the music, the setting, the scent, everything comes into play there. So I take everything into consideration and I help the sellers with that.
Terrific. For folks that are resonating with your message today and would like to speak with you, how can they find you and connect?
Yeah, so my website is csgcapitals with an s.com, and my email is sherry.vasquez@csgcapitals.com.
Terrific. Sheryl, this has been terrific. I really appreciate you stopping by and sharing
Thank
with my
you.
office, my audience today. And I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Thank you so much. And for you as well. It's been a pleasure.
That was Sheryl Vazquez, founder of CSG Capital. And the segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals get their books done to educate consumers, grow their practices, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.